Hi, I'm Alex Anders, and this is Bisexual Real Talk. What if you were to build up your courage with your heart thumping and your palms sweating to come out to the most important person in your life, and then they dismiss it? That's what I'm going to be talking about with one of two emails that I'll be doing this week. But before I get to those, three quick announcements. First, I have included the chapters to this video in the description of the YouTube channel. So if you want to jump to any particular part of the video instead, you can do that. Also, if you want to come back and watch stuff later, you know exactly where to go to for it. Secondly, I've been releasing 1-minute summaries of my most helpful videos over the past few weeks. If you'd like to check out a video that you've never seen before, before you commit to the full thing, you can watch the 1-minute summary. Or if you want to be reminded of what was in a video you really liked, you can check out those things there. And quickly, thirdly, is that if you have a question you'd like me to answer, you can always email it to me in the email address in the description below. But if you'd like to talk to me one-on-one, that is possible. And you can do that by checking out my Patreon page. It's one of the tiers. We could talk for an hour. We could do multiple time discussions together. We can talk about anything revolving, your bisexuality or life in general. So you can go ahead and check that out. Now let's hop into these emails. Here is the first one. Hey, I just watched a few of your videos. I was really hoping for some advice. I'm sure this is probably a waste of time, but here goes. I guess it wasn't a waste of time, was it? A few months ago, out of nowhere, I was sitting with my best friend, and we were just watching their TV there. I've always loved her, and I say it all the time, but this was different. I saw her for more than just a friend. It happened a few times after, and I was so confused. I was further confused because at this time, I was having a huge crush on this dude who I was talking to. I did my research and made it a possibility that I could be bisexual. I actually started to notice the liking I took to girls. I noticed how I somehow always put them as my lock screen, or even saw myself with one in the future. Even more, I still see myself with boys, but I'm so confused. Help! P.S. Okay, I'm being out there, but if this somehow ends up being recorded, when pigs fly, please burn my email address. Okay, I just had to read the last part because I thought it was funny. Anyway, yes, it can be so confusing, and honestly, it could be really frustrating. And I like to think of this process, because it is a process. It's a process we all go through. It's kind of like, and I don't know if you can remember this, it was a long time for all of us, but even longer time for me, but do you remember when you learned how to tie your laces? Because I remember it, and I remember it being very, very frustrating. So frustrating and often confusing because there was loops and then there was pulls and then there was all that stuff. And honestly, I remember being frustrated as like a 4-year-old or whatever age I was, 5-year-old, whatever age that is. And it would just frustrate me until one day it just clicked. And it was just like, oh, wait, this is what's going on. Oh, it's this and then this and then this. And it just felt so good. It just felt so relieving to finally get that. And I also remember another time when I was, I don't know, probably about, I'm going to guess 10, 7, 8, I don't know, when I was learning like fractions, like 1/5. I just couldn't get the concept. I couldn't get it in class. And then one day my mother was sitting, I was sitting in my mother's bed, and she's trying to explain this to me. It's like 1/5, think of a pie, and then like pieces of pie, that's the bottom number. The top number is like the piece you're talking to. And for the first like 5-10 minutes she was explaining, I just didn't get it still. It was just frustrating. Then suddenly it just clicked. Have you ever had an experience in your life that felt like that? Whereas like initially it was so hard and then suddenly you just got it? That is what the whole bisexual process is. And it's not short. Because even after you decide that, okay, yes, I am bisexual, you're going to go through stages. You're going to go through doubt. And for me, doubt lasted, 10, 15 years? This is just the process. But by the time you get to the end of the process, you will have a sense of relief of just like, oh, yeah, no, I get it. I get it. And that's what's going to be for you. Like in the meantime, all you can do is to continue to watch videos and learn more information, and learn more about yourself. Like you can't answer these questions until you figure out like yourself in various situations. What do you feel like when you get close to a guy? What do you feel like when you get close to a girl? What does it feel like when you're watching programs and certain things come on? Like it's just a learning process. So first, learn about what bisexuality is, and then, learn about yourself, and that takes time. And then finally, put yourself in situations where you actually meet other people who are identifying like how you've decided to identify. And compare yourself. Are you experiencing what they're experiencing? Is there similarities there? Do you feel a connection with these people? And that will give you the answer that you're looking for. Yes, it's confusing. Yes, it's frustrating. We've all gone through it. So if nothing else, you're like every other bisexual in that way. I hope that's helpful. Now, email number 2. And this one reads, "Hi, Alex." Well, hi. First of all, let me start off by saying I love your podcast. I listen to every episode, which means you're listening to this one. So, hey, I answered it. It continues on. My name is M, and I'm a younger bisexual, 12. I know for a fact I'm bi, contrary to what people might think. I came out to my parents a few months ago, and my dad thinks it's a phase, even though I'm sure it's not. He doesn't really support me, and I'm not exactly sure what to do. Can you please help me? Thanks, and stay cooler. Stay cooler too, Em. Yes, this is a dilemma. And what do you do about it? The great thing about getting older, and I'm talking like over the age of 30, is that you gain something called perspective. And so since I'm over the age of 30, I'm going to give you the perspective that I wish I had when I was in your situation. First of all, although it might seem kind of disheartening that your father is not supporting you in the way that you'd like him to support you, I want to give you the perspective of how excellent of a position that you're actually in, how lucky you are to be in the position that you are. Because a lot of people do exactly what you do and end up in a much, much darker place with their parents. A lot of fathers just will not accept such a thing at all. There are situations where like parents have thrown their kids out. There's situations where like things have gotten abusive. There's situations where even if it wasn't that extreme, it's along the lines of the parent telling their bisexual child that they can't talk about this stuff anymore. And that's that. So just for a little perspective, you're extremely lucky to have, I assume your mother was very accepting, and even to have a father that addressed it in the way he did. Because the great thing that, which perspective allows me to see from this situation, is that your father doesn't seem to be closed to the idea. He just seems to be taking a slow approach to the idea. And honestly, that's almost a good thing, because it's just a fact that the younger you are, the more phases you go through. It's just the thing. You're going to change your hair. You're going to change the way you dress. You're going to change the things that you think are important. You're going to change your perspective on like how much you should be recycling or how important the environment is. And that's good. We all do it. Every single one of us. And the job of a parent is to kind of dance that line of trying to figure out what is it that's going to be important for my child in the long run, and what are the things I should kind of just let go. And not like pay too much of attention to because it's going to go past. Like it's tough. It's super hard. Like even if I became a parent, I would have to obviously if my child said to me I was bisexual or something. But for other things, it's always dancing that line of, is this something that's going to be permanent or is this something that's going to be temporary? And all your father did was say, you know what? I'm going to go on a limb with all the information I have and say this might not be as permanent as everything else. But what that means is all you need to do is to show him that it is. You can do it by multiple ways, by just being yourself and continue to just be constant. Be constant with what you're saying and be constant with your actions. But here's another thing that you can do, which will speed along the process. What you can do is you can go to your father and you can ask him if, when he was your age, if he thought that he was gay. And I'm pretty sure your father will say something along the lines of, no, he didn't think he was gay. In which case you can ask him, why not? And he'll probably say something along the lines of, because of the fact that he liked girls. And you can ask him, how did you know that you liking girls wasn't a phase? And he won't have an answer. Most likely, no one will have an answer to that. And they'll probably just say, I just know. In which case, you can say, that's same feeling is how you know you're bisexual. This will probably blow your father's mind, because it'll probably blow any parent's mind, because it is such great perspective. Because everyone kind of like thinks of things kind of non-objectively. They kind of like think of it in the abstract. But when you like draw the situation back to yourself, things become a little bit more clear. And I'm pretty sure that even if your father doesn't say after that point, no, you convinced me, you're bisexual and that's what it is, I'm sure that you will give your father so much to think about that even if he doesn't say it, he will become more more supportive, because he now has a perspective on it that is really, really helpful. I hope that helps. I hope that helps both of you, and I hope that you guys who are listening to this will also get some sort of benefit from it as well, because honestly, these are situations that are not necessarily just happening for teens or young bisexuals. All these things are applicable to all ages, and odds are, in fact, hey, I was dating someone and I was able to use the whole perspective thing with them as well, which helped them to realize they were bisexual as well. Oh, and I also wanted to add, also if your conversation with your father goes a different direction and he says, like, you ask him, how did you know that you weren't gay? And he says, I didn't know. You know what? Bisexuality has a genetic component to it. So if you are bisexual, I mean, there is a strong chance that you got it from some sort of genetic inheritance from your parents. And it could be that he could think it's a phase because he actually went through something like what you're going through, and he made his choice to be with your mother, and then that solved it for him. But, if he says that, then know that you now have more in common with your father than you thought. And it just becomes a whole completely different conversation. And honestly, if that happens, email me and I'll tell you what to do in that situation. But yeah, I hope that helps. And that's it. Just want to remind you, if you have any questions that you'd like me to answer, send it through my email in the description below. And also, if you want to talk one-on-one, check out my Patreon page and let me know. Until then, stay cooler, my bisexual friends. Stay cooler. Bye.